This is the best way to clean your oven, the Japanese way, the whole of it in the right order. And before we finish, I'm going to tell you about that self-clean button on the front of your oven, and you are never going to press it again. Open your oven door right now and look down at the bottom of it. You know what is there? That black baked-on crust in the corners, the brown splatter up the sides, that has been there so long it has become part of the oven. The little cloud of smoke that rises the moment you turn it on, and that smell of something burning that is not your food. You have looked at it 100 times, and 100 times you have closed the door and told yourself you will deal with it another day. And every time you bake now, that smell of old burnt grease works its way into the food, so the cake comes out tasting faintly of the last 6 things you cooked, and you cannot figure out why. It is the oven. It has become a layer of everything that ever spilled in it, cooking again every time you turn on the heat. And maybe one of those days you got brave. You bought the can, the strong one, the oven cleaner with the warnings all over it, and you sprayed it inside and stood there with your eyes watering and your throat burning, your head halfway into the oven scrubbing, and you swore you would never do that again. Or maybe you found the button, the one on the panel that says self-clean, and you pressed it because the oven itself promised to do the job for you. Sit down for a moment, because I have to tell you something about that button and about that can that nobody ever told you, and it is not your fault. That button is the most dangerous thing in your kitchen, and that can is a poison you are spraying where you cook your family's food. And the truth is, the real way to clean an oven, the way my mother cleaned hers, the way my grandmother cleaned hers, costs you almost nothing, and it is sitting in your cupboard right now. Keep the button in the back of your mind, because I am building you toward it, and when you understand what it really does, you will leave it alone forever. Here is the honest truth of it. For about 100 years now, cleaning a thing has been turned from a skill you own into a product you buy. My grandmother in Japan cleaned an oven because she could not afford to ruin it or replace it, and she did it with a paste and a little patience and things you could have eaten off a spoon. We did not lose that way because it stopped working. We lost it because there is no money in teaching a woman to paste her own grandmother new, and a great deal of money in selling her a can and a button instead. That is the one honest thing to hold on to through this whole video. My name is Kenji Sato, and for 25 years I cleaned professionally, from commercial kitchens where the ovens ran all day to luxury hotels where every surface had to pass a white glove. I am not here to sell you a bottle of anything because the fix has been in your cupboard the whole time. Now, before we go any further, I have to be honest with you. Only a very small percentage of the people who watch this channel are actually subscribed. If you love the idea of fixing a thing with what you already own, instead of buying another can that burns your eyes, even half as much as I do, then do consider subscribing. It is completely free and you can always change your mind later. It genuinely helps a working man keep making these. Right then, let us get into it. Let me start where the work really starts, which is not the inside of the oven at all. It is the racks. Take the racks out first before you do anything else, and here is why. Those racks, with all their little bars and edges and corners, are the hardest thing in the whole oven to clean, and if you leave them in while you spray and scrub, you fight them the entire time. So we take them out and we let them clean themselves while we do the rest. Lay them in your bathtub, and if you would rather not put them in the tub, a big plastic bin or a tub out back does the same. Fill it with warm water, and here's the old trick: drop in a dishwasher pod. Not the dish soap you wash plates with, a dishwasher pod, the kind made for the machine, because those pods have enzymes in them, little workers that eat grease, and grease is exactly what is welded onto those racks. You drop the pod in the warm water, you lay the racks down in it, and you walk away and leave them to soak the whole time you clean the oven. The water does the scrubbing for you while your hands are busy elsewhere. That is the whole spirit of the old way. You set a thing to work, and you do not stand over it. This is how professionals clean, by the way. In a busy kitchen, nobody has time to stand and scrub a rack for 20 minutes, so we let time and a soak do the hard part while we move on to the next job. Patience is a tool, the same as a sponge, and it is the one tool that costs you nothing. Now, before any cleaner, any spray, any paste touches the inside of that oven, you take out the loose mess first. The crumbs, the burnt bits, that one piece of cheese that slid off the pizza 3 months ago and turned to charcoal in the corner. Because if you spray cleaner right on top of all that, you just make a wet black soup that smears everywhere and doubles your work. So first, dry, a little brush, the hose of your vacuum, or just your hand and a piece of paper towel, and you sweep all that loose burnt mess out and into the trash. If a piece is stuck on hard, a little plastic putty knife, the cheap kind, scrapes it loose without scratching a thing. Get all the loose dirt out before you ever wet it down. You will hear me say that in every video I make, because it is the difference between cleaning a thing and just smearing it around. Now we come to the cleaner itself, and here you have two roads, and I will give you both honestly. The first road is the old natural one, the one my mother used, and it costs you almost nothing, baking soda and vinegar, but you must use them the right way, because almost everybody uses them wrong. Hear me clearly, you do not mix them together in a bowl. I know the videos show it foaming up like a science trick, all that bubbling, and it looks like it is doing something powerful. It is doing nothing. When you mix baking soda and vinegar together, they cancel each other out and turn into little more than salty water, and salty water does not clean a greasy oven. So we use them apart, one and then the other. First, the baking soda. You make a paste, baking soda and just a little water, mixed thick like a frosting, and you spread that paste over the greasy places inside the oven. That paste is your scrubbing power. It is gritty, and it breaks the hold that the grease has on the surface and lifts it up. And understand what you are fighting here, because it helps you be patient with it. That black crust is not really dirt anymore. It is grease that has been baked over and over at high heat until it turned into a hard varnish welded to the metal, almost like the finish on a piece of furniture. You are not wiping up a spill, you are dissolving a coat of baked lacquer, and that takes time and a little chemistry, not muscle. Let the paste sit and give it real time, an hour if you can, or leave it overnight for the worst of it. Then scrub it and wipe it away with a damp towel. And once the paste is off, you come behind with the vinegar in a spray bottle, and you spray the surfaces down. The vinegar cuts whatever grease is left and rinses away the last of the baking soda. Baking soda first to break the grease, vinegar after to wash it clean. I will tell you true, this way takes more elbow grease than the can does, but it is free, it is in your cupboard, and there is nothing in this method you could not eat. And that last part matters more than people think. An oven is the one place in your home where you heat the surface up and then cook food inches away from it. Whatever you leave on that metal, you are baking into tomorrow's dinner. So the fact that this paste is something you could lick off a spoon is not a small thing. It means the only thing left in your oven when you are done is clean metal, and nothing your family breathes in or eats. The second road is a store can, and I will not pretend it does not work. It does, and it works faster. But if you use it with respect the way the old people respected the lye when they made their own soap. So open the windows, turn on a fan, get the air moving, because that spray is not something to breathe in a closed kitchen. Put gloves on your hands and glasses over your eyes if you have them, and keep it off anything that is not the inside of the oven, especially any stainless steel, because that cleaner will etch the steel and leave a scar you cannot rub out. Spray it evenly inside, and then, and this is where everybody rushes, you let it sit. The can will say 10 minutes, give it 30, give it an hour if you can. The longer it sits, the more it melts the grease into something that wipes away with no scrubbing at all. You were never meant to scrub a thing the cleaner had not finished loosening. Now the heating element on the bottom, that metal coil, people always ask me what do I do around that. You lift it up gently just a little, and you clean and spray underneath it, because that is exactly where the grease likes to hide and sit. And if you get a little cleaner on the coil itself, do not fret, just wipe it down well with a damp towel after. Nothing is ruined, and that coil is far tougher than it looks. Just be gentle with it and wipe it dry. And now while that cleaner sits and works, come close, because it is time I told you about that button. The self-clean button. Every oven has it now, and it sounds like a blessing. The oven cleans itself. You press one button and walk away. So let me tell you what that button actually does, because not one person in 100 knows, and the ones who do know are the repairmen. When you press self-clean, the oven locks its own door and heats itself up to nearly 800 degrees. 800. Hotter than you would ever cook anything, hotter than the oven was ever truly built to bear, and it holds that heat for hours to burn the grease away into ash. And in doing that, it cooks its own insides. Ask any appliance repairman you can find, and they will all tell you the same thing. The self-clean cycle is what kills ovens. That heat melts the fuses, it warps the internal parts. I have seen it melt the plastic of the control panel and leave the whole oven dead. A button that cleans the oven by destroying it. And it is a true fire hazard. On top of that, all that grease igniting in a sealed box at 800 degrees. So many house calls, so many ovens hauled to the dump years before their time, all from the one button that promised to save you the trouble. I saw this with my own eyes more than once. In one hotel kitchen, a manager set the big oven to self-clean on a Friday night to save the crew the work, and locked up. By Saturday morning, the control board was dead, the door stayed locked, and the smell of scorched wiring was all through the back kitchen. That oven never ran again. A repairman came, looked at it for 10 seconds, and said the one word they all say about that cycle. Every time. He had seen it 100 times, and he was not surprised for a moment. That is not a rare accident. That is the button working exactly the way it works. So here is the thing I want you to sit with, the way my grandmother would have made me sit with it. Think for a moment about who that button is really for. It is not for you. A button that ruins the oven in 5 years means you buy another oven in 5 years. There is no money in an oven that lasts 30 years, the way your grandmothers did, cleaned by hand with a paste that cost pennies. There is a great deal of money in an oven that dies young, and in the strong can you must buy again and again, and in the repairman's call when the panel melts. Nobody sat in a room and schemed this. It is simpler and sadder than that. It simply pays better to sell a button in a can than to teach a person the paste their own grandmother knew. And the thing that nobody profits from teaching slips out of a family in a generation or two, not because it stopped working, but because it worked too well and lasted too long to be worth selling. So we do it by hand, the old way, and our ovens outlive theirs. Whatever you do, do not press that button one more time thinking you are saving yourself an afternoon, because the afternoon you save today you pay back tenfold the day the oven dies, and you are standing in an appliance store writing a check for a new one. Once the cleaner has had its time, you take a damp microfiber towel and you wipe and rinse everything down. And here is a small thing that matters. Rinse the towel often. Do a section, rinse it well, go to the next, because a filthy towel only moves the grease around. And if the door is hard to reach over, some ovens let you lift the whole door off at the hinges with little latches, but I tell you do that one with another person if you have never done it, for the door is heavy and can break, and check the booklet that came with your oven first. Now you will find some places, usually on the bottom, where a black char is stuck so hard that no towel and no paste will move it. Do not break your back scrubbing at it. The old answer is a razor blade scraper, the little flat one, a few dollars at the store, but you use it with care. First, wet the surface with a little of the cleaner so the blade glides and does not scratch. Hold it at a low angle and go slow and gentle. Once the edge slips under the char, it lifts right off like nothing. Use a fresh blade with no rust on it, for a rusty blade will scratch. And when a spot truly needs scrubbing, use a soft scrubbing sponge, but never ever the rough green and yellow scouring pads. Whatever you do not drag one of those across the inside of your oven because they will scratch it and the scratches will rust over time. And last, back to the rack, soaking in the tub. They have been sitting in that enzyme water this whole time and the grease has gone soft. Take your soft scrub sponge and wipe, and you will see it come away in one swipe. Grease that would have taken you an hour of fighting if you had not let them soak. If one rack is truly bad, the very finest steel wool, the kind marked 40, cuts the last of it without harming the metal. Rinse them, dry them, and slide them back into a clean oven. Put the door back on if you took it off, and step back and look at what you have done. An oven that looks the way it did the day it came into the house, cleaned with a paste, a little vinegar, a razor, and a tub of water. No poison left where your food cooks, no button that will kill it young. Because this was never really about an oven. It is about being the kind of person who keeps the things that serve them, who cleans them properly so they last, instead of using them up and throwing them out. My grandmother's oven outlived every fashionable one on her street, not because it was better made, but because she respected it and kept it by hand. That is a small kind of freedom, the freedom of a person who does not have to buy their way out of every problem and nobody can sell it to you because it is not a product, it is a way of doing things, and it changes how you see your whole kitchen. Once you have brought one tired old oven back with a paste and a soak and an afternoon of patience, you stop believing the story that a thing is used up the moment it looks bad. You start looking at the stove, the pans, the sink, everything, and thinking, that is not ruined, that is only dirty, and dirty I can fix. That is the mindset my grandmother handed down, and it is worth far more than any bottle. Respect the things that serve you, clean them properly, and they will last a lifetime, and then they will last your children's lifetime too. That is not a small promise. In a world built to make you throw everything out and buy it again, it is almost a quiet act of defiance. So here's what I would ask of you. Before you ever press that self-clean button again, make the paste instead. Soak the racks, open the windows if you use the can, and never spray it and rush it. And then come back here and tell me two things down in the comments. Tell me how old your oven is and whether you have been pressing that button all these years, and tell me your county and how old your house, because the older the house, the older the oven, and I learned the whole country from what you write me. The way people back home learn from one another across the kitchen, one house and one season at a time. I read as many as I can. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Do it once, do it properly, and then it stays done. And subscribe before you go, because next time I am going to take you to the stovetop above that oven, the burnt rings around the burners, the grease that has turned to glue, and show you the old way to lift it all off, again with what is already in your cupboard, and again without the can they want you to keep